Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Antonio Talks Talk Show. We're back. We've got our new studio set up, so very excited to have reconvene in these podcasts, reconvene in these discussions, and reconvene the momentum of disseminating information in the world about certain topics. We don't really choose the topic sometimes. We just go with it, as you all know. So, first of all, I would like to introduce a great guest today. We're going to be putting the world to rights in recruitment. We're in the AI renaissance. The AI renaissance means that we're just in that inflection point of AI basically shifting how we work, how we play, how we engage with customers, how we engage with our friends, how we engage with products. Everything is shifting. So is our job search shifting? Is our job search shifting? And if you're a job searcher or job seeker, if you're hunting for a job right now, hopefully we're going to dispel some myths and hopefully we're going to give you guys some really good tips. I've got with me a guest called Kav. He is the founder of Solere, a innovative technology recruitment agency specializing in new emerging technologies such as AI, such as GPUs, DevOps, companies that are really pushing boundaries. Kav is the guy that you want to go to hire people. Kav, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good, Antonio. Thank you for that introduction. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Well, obviously, you are better introducing yourself. So tell the world a little bit about yourself, where you come from in terms of your career, and then, you can even say an interesting fact if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So I started recruitment about 12 years ago, 11 years ago. I got into it by pure luck. I was literally Googling highest paid jobs in UK, and trading was number one, recruitment was number two, and I was extremely financially driven. So I thought I'll have a go at that. And started off, had really good mentors very early on, people that taught me work ethic. From S3 background, obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes on that they didn't pass on to me, but they just gave me their good habits, their work ethic and all of those things. And that has completely always pushed me forward to do best for myself, for my clients, for candidates, by everyone, just by being ethical and hardworking and outworking everyone else by working smart. Finally, I set up my own business about 6.5 years ago, September 2018, with the aim of taking more control of what I was doing. I thought there's a lot of stuff I can improve, and I don't have as much of a voice or influence in the businesses that I work for. As much as I love them and they've given me so much, it's time for me to take my own journey. And I set up there very early on. It was the whole AI thing that was happening, and then COVID happened. So we went up in numbers, up to 15 and down again. And now I'm speaking with you.
Nice. That was quite a succinct introduction. So you started with S3. How was that time in your life? Because obviously, a lot of the people that have started with S3, throughout the ages really that I've been in recruitment, a lot of people, the now running their own businesses. It seems that S3 was a great breeding ground for recruiters. What do you think?
Sure. So I was actually mentored. I didn't work directly for S3, but I was mentored in my first two roles by basically leadership that came out of S3 to set up their own businesses. And it was mainly the work ethic, and for me to understand how to remove guesswork out of my work, and how to bring a type of process-driven work that leads in predictable results. And that was the main thing for me that S3 gave me, that you do these things, you don't have to worry, you don't have to think, you just basically plan, execute, and the result will follow. And that's the main thing that I took from them. But you're right, it's a ground. I think there's a lot of businesses who set up in not just tech sector, in other areas of recruitment also has come out of S3, not just here, also in the US, in Europe. Yeah, they had a big influence on the recruitment industry, definitely. No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge business, right? So we're here to talk about the AI renaissance. So how do you feel about the AI renaissance at the moment and what's happening in the world of AI? Are you up to date with it? What are your thoughts?
So I'm actually learning a lot from yourself, Antonio, when it comes to AI. I've been I started exploring GPT when it came out 3 years ago or something like that it was. Prior to that, I was working with clients, hiring engineers for them, neural networks and stuff. I was just fascinated by it, that they were designing their own stuff, and I was hiring mainly Python engineers, machine learning engineers, data scientists, and so on to build those platforms. But now it's everywhere. It's in your phone, it's on your chats, it's on WhatsApp, it's on social media, AI photos, AI recruitment, AI CVs, basically
AI porn,
searching. Sorry. Yeah,
AI porn.
that's right. Yes, that's everywhere. And yeah, there's no escaping it. And I don't know, I don't have a very big opinion about where I think it's going, but I feel it's going to have a positive impact in many areas for me. It already has.
Do you think that AI is so your understanding of AI? Do you think that AI can replace recruitment agents?
A lot of the tasks of it, potentially, activities, repetitive tasks, a lot of tasks that needs numbers, needs big outreach, big. Yes, but Mike, what I'm not convinced about is where it comes to, we are very social creatures, humans. Like I don't know to what level AI could get up to that you don't feel like the person who's trying to present this opportunity to you is gonna be is an AI, or is it a real person? I don't know, like as in what the impacts of that would be. But as far as I know, I rather buy from people at the end of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a common theme I'm hearing across the board. So in recruitment today then, what do you think is the biggest challenge that we're having, or the biggest problem that exists within the world of recruitment today?
So I could speak probably mainly for the tech side. So what I'm seeing today is the last bit of the fallout from the big hires, big relentless hires that was backed by government's fundings of companies during the COVID pandemic. They hired way too many people that the companies didn't need. They were paying them across the world. And we still haven't gotten past the level of people that got laid off, because that, combined with engineers who are familiar with AI, they can utilize coding and problem solving with AI. Teams realize that, okay, maybe we don't need a team of 20 engineers. Maybe we need a team of 4 engineers that can utilize AI and be as productive or more productive than them. But the biggest challenge, I would say, is to see past what everyone is talking about and see that, okay, have we been in this situation before? Yes, there is a surplus of potential engineers, but it's always been like that. Most great products don't get built by just any engineers. They get built by top architects, top engineers and stuff. So there is always a shortage for top people at any position, but the footballers, I don't know, like, as you know what I mean? So, but the challenge for me is sieving through and identifying those people.
Mm.
That is the biggest challenge, because there's not a shortage of applicants out there.
Yeah, so you're
What is the
finding that you're seeing that there's a lot more volume of applicants at the moment.
Yes,
And what's
absolutely.
driving that then? Is more people out of work, or is there less jobs? What's driving this, do you think?
So a lot of people got out of work from my conversations with people. Their businesses, just economies just started to check the reality. So if a business is not doing well, if they've got shareholders, they have an obligation to the shareholders. So the first people on the chopping block is going to be those people who are not necessary for the survival of the business. And that applies across the board, not just for those who have board members, but smaller businesses. We ourselves had to reduce our numbers just because the money wasn't out there. People were nervous to invest in startups. They were undecided. Combine that with the whole political landscape of, okay, what happens in America, because America sets the tone for the world, especially when it comes to recruitment and hiring numbers. Combine it with each other. I think that's why there's a huge number of people out there still that are looking for roles. And the biggest challenge we find, even with the help of AI, is companies just can't identify the right person. It's very, very difficult, because you have to have the knowledge and the skill set to see beyond the words on the page and have the initiative. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the biggest challenge, Antonio, if you ask me.
And what do you think's changed most about candidates in the past 2 years?
Okay, so they gone through a reality check. So everyone thought, a lot of people, not everyone, there is a lot of majority of engineers in our field felt like maybe overvalued because of the amount of demand. Companies were hiring almost anyone with any level of skills, and they would give them something to do. And then when the gravy train stopped, there is a reality check. What am I supposed to do? Am I a good engineer? Am I a bad engineer? And if you don't have something substantial to show for the last for your last work, it's pretty hard to get back into a top level role or a good role, if you know what I mean, Antonio.
Yeah, do you think candidates are more in demand, not more in demand, more demanding today than they were, say, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
Definitely.
In what ways are you seeing?
So I personally, maybe I should have just made a data about this to analyze it. But personally, I see it in two ways. The new generation of candidates, they want things to happen. As in new generation, I just mean like as in younger age type candidates.
Bloody Gen Zers or whatever they call them, right? Gen Zers, is it?
Gen
Gen
Zs.
Zers. Ugh.
So
They don't
they're
know they're
very
born, do they? They don't know. They
they
don't
want
want to
things to happen.
work. They don't want to work. They don't want to do the menial jobs. Tell you what, those Gen Zers lazy. Anyway, sorry, go on.
But yeah, Antonio, so I find it like one part of it is they want things to happen very quick. So the value proposition that was you pay your dues and get up to somewhere, you learn skills and you go up to that time span has become a lot smaller for the
Mm.
new generation of engineers. They want to get to the next stage today. So I don't have anything against that. If you have the skills and you have the confidence and you have the ability to prove yourself, absolutely. But I think a lot, not everyone, a lot of people I speak with, they haven't had a reality check with themselves to say that, okay, what is my value compared
That's a
to my
great point you
peers?
raised there. That's a really great point. That people today, they're used to this whole instant Amazon culture where, you get your delivery next day. I mean, I'm the same. Don't get me wrong. Like if I go on Amazon, I'm ordering the next day one. If it's not there, I probably won't buy it if it doesn't come next day, which is a bit stupid, really. But I want it there and then. The fast food, Starbucks, coffee, we want it exactly how we want it. Careers, we are of the generation, Cav, where we understood that actually you go in, you start at the bottom, and then you climb your way up. It may take some time, but you just go through it, and you put up with all the shit that comes with that. You put up with the low pay, you put up with the work conditions. They weren't that great, or that like you were treated as like the T boy, or the person who had to do all the you had to pay your dues. You had to go through the rite of passage. It's
Definitely.
it's and now it's like, a lot of people, they come out of university and they think that, I can just jump into a high paying job. And to be honest, that has set the tone, I believe. This whole entitlement culture moved from, I think it was really around 2018, 17 time, where people started having that expectation. And it did set the tone, when we then started giving free food and bean bags as a workplace perk. And there was all this, everyone pandering to the workforce, which is obviously, you've got to create a good environment, but it went a bit too far, didn't it? It went a bit too far to the other side, which, has now created a place, a nanny state culture where people who work for companies, they expect like the company to be their parents. They expect that, like they just have this expectation of things that they think is unfair, like working overtime, or working outside your hours. They think that that's, or contact, or being contacted outside your working hours. Now, look, I get it, but we don't need to create a big thing about it. And so I think that that's gone the opposite way now. And you can see that. You can see in, say, for instance, the USA, where now companies, because obviously we have Trump in power, now companies are going the opposite way and they're going anti-woke. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about that, and I don't really care to comment, to be honest. It doesn't matter to me. But their diversity, equity, inclusion, whilst it's important, has created a softer business culture, I think, and also not weathered people enough. People have not felt the adversity, and so they're not strong enough to deal with things going forward. Does that make sense?
100%. Even Google is now pulling back from. Do you remember Google used to say like as in you get to work? What was it? a day or 2 days or some days per month on your own personal projects and stuff like that. And then even now they're pulling back from that because
Actually,
it
I
went,
just had a thought from that. Maybe it's not, maybe it's not like the political situation. Maybe it's actually the fact that we're now Google spent years being top of the game, right? America spent years being top of the world, capitalist society. They've spent years in terms of tech, innovation, all that stuff. And now we've got countries like China wiping the floor with them with regards to AI. Maybe this artificial intelligence race, the race, because obviously we plateaued a little bit as a society because technology was great. It was at a certain element. So maybe this new race for becoming the world leaders in artificial intelligence have forced these companies to go, hey, we need to all start performing, so we can't start pandering. Because, I've got children, right? And if they're playing sports, okay, I want them to win. That's what I want. Now,
sure,
they don't automatically win just because they got involved. Well done for getting involved. But if you didn't come first, then you didn't win. And that's fine. I wouldn't chastise my children. I'll just say be better. If my children, like for instance, Leonardo, I think there was one time where he was upset. No, Santino actually a couple of weeks ago, he actually was upset that he couldn't beat Leonardo in a race. Leo's 10, Santino's 3, turning 4. Santino was upset. But I didn't go, oh, Santino, don't worry, it's okay. I actually just said to Santino, we need to practice more. Obviously, he's
sure,
never beat
sure,
Leo at 4. Leo's 10, he's 4. But the point is that it's not pandering and saying, oh, well done for doing it anyway. You do need to be realistic that you need to practice more. And the point I'm trying to make is that when you pander to individuals, they automatically become in a comfort and safety blanket, and then they don't perform well or their best. Do you know what I mean?
sure. Sure. I've had candidates asking me all sorts of questions that had zero to do. And don't get me wrong, I respect everyone's opinion and it's free societies we live in. Okay, fantastic. But I've had people that I've told them, look, this is a very important role. It's a key role for this startup to make or break it. And they need people who are going to be committed to this. Like I didn't used to go home until like 12 p.m. Like they used to give me a fob where I used to work to get out of the building because I wanted to get where I wanted to be. But I completely understand that's not for everyone. However, as you mentioned, maybe it's gone too far because I've had candidates asking me all sorts of questions that have just been like alarm bells going off in my head thinking, how is this any relevant to how is this? So basically stuff about what is the business? It stands on certain celebration days or whatnot. What's the culture on certain very specific things that I'm thinking, well, do you know what I mean? You don't have
Yeah.
to. So those things that you say, like as in participation trophies and stuff, that the fact that you want an award just because you came to work. Okay. I understand what you mean, like as in had an impact. And I think like companies are pulling back on it because we've always been merit-based hiring. I mean, we've had companies who tell, look, we want you two guys to look into these different, basically, um, backgrounds and stuff like that. Fantastic outreach, go out to as much diverse backgrounds and all of those things. Do you know what I mean? Reach out to the farthest places that they don't get even. Do you know what I mean? Put out
Yeah, definitely.
papers and all of those things. We're all up for that. But at the end of the day, if I'm hiring for my business, I'm hiring based on merit, Antonio.
Yeah, you're hiring the best person for the job. But then, so we're talking about the candidate side and how entitled they are. But I also think, businesses, clients, are also, need to understand that the market has shifted in terms of candidate expectations. Now, obviously, a lot of businesses are fighting for everyone returning back to the office.
Yes,
I I just think that's just so anti-productive. Get it that you need to be with your team together, and I think that maybe a couple of days a week, but these returning back to the office for like 5 days a week is silly actually because it doesn't actually help anyone. Everyone can say that it's well it's to boost productivity. It's not. It's so people can see what that person's doing. That's it. And so companies do need to understand that individuals, good talent, will choose to have their own preferences met in terms of work life balance. And I'm not saying silly stuff. I'm talking, just being at home, being able to drop your kids or going to the gym in the morning and that type of thing. People
Sure.
will prioritize that over being in the office 5 days a week. And so I believe companies will struggle to hire in that regard.
I
And then we
understand
can
what you
talk
mean.
about AI replacing individuals, so it doesn't matter. But we're not actually there yet. And most company owners, if we're talking at the SME level, they don't understand AI anyway, so they wouldn't be able to implement it themselves right now. So they need to. So there is the need for talent is huge, particularly. I mean, even in the recruitment industry, we look at our industry. To find good recruiters or good salespeople, it's you tell me your experience with that.
It's very difficult. It's difficult hiring. Hiring is easy if you don't care who you hire for.
Mm.
But I've hired for my own
That's a great
business,
quote. That's a great quote. Hiring is easy if you don't care who you hire for. I really like that, Cav. Great.
right? And I've hired for my own business, and by that point, I was already in recruitment industry for 7, 8 years. But when you start hiring for yourself, you start to understand. Hang on a second. I always knew that this wasn't easy, but I didn't know that as in how important and absolutely make or break type situation it is, and you need to treat every hire like make or break. Can this person make my business this X amount of times bigger, get me X amounts closer to success?
Mm.
And that's difficult. They could have
Yeah,
the
I
skills,
would
they may
agree
not
with you.
have the
I
work
would agree with you.
ethic.
I remember when I had my first business, we built an RPO. We had an office in London. It was beautiful. It was a shop front. It was called Recruited, and we went through a phase of really scaling fast, and we got a load of clients in. But then we also needed to hire fast because we needed the people to deliver on the work. And there was a time where we went and we were just hiring anyone, to be honest, to come in, give them a laptop, hopefully just train them up. That approach was absolutely stupid because you spent more time replacing the individuals than actually doing the work for the clients. Do you know what I mean? Because
Definitely.
you had to replace these people that just weren't the right fit. So hiring is one of the most crucial things, and I really like what your point to, it needs to be met diligently, doesn't it?
Definitely.
It needs to be about,
Definitely.
is this person going to add value to my business? Is this a make or break? Because the person who you do hire could potentially break your business. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Or make it. Or
Or
that
make it.
person could change your
Absolutely.
life.
Yeah. So yeah, no, you're totally right. Recruitment, I think, is been stuck in a loop in many ways. I don't think we've had much innovation in the recruitment world since probably LinkedIn. What would you say?
Agree. I mean,
We're doing the same job over and over again, aren't we?
we are. Technology wise, you're right. Hasn't done much in the past, like as far as I can remember, as long as I've been in it, it hasn't changed much. But like we discussed, to me, recruitment is about the recruiter, the one person that does the recruiting for you. It's not about the company. It's not about all the bells and whistles. Um, Tools and stuff, fantastic, they can help, but about this person going above and beyond and get you things you didn't even thought you could get, and then give you the option and make your life easier by helping you see through market conditions, guide you through the whole process, help you secure that person, because all of these stuff is that part of it is what's the exciting part for me, when the complexity starts to begin, when you need to help two people at the same time to see through the company's vision, through
Mm.
the hiring manager's vision. And but you're 100% right. It's been stuck in a loop in regards to the tech site at LinkedIn. You're right.
Well, if we think it also, I think it, not, because let's be honest, Cav, as much as recruitment agencies will say that, they speak to every candidate, they let every candidate know that they've been rejected. It's tough because the volume of candidates that are applying for jobs today is just excessive, isn't it? Candidates are blasting CVs, recruiters are ghosting people. No one, I feel, is actually winning at the moment, apart from when in terms of majority, the minority, when we get a candidate we take through the process, we treat them like they're our best mate. Do you know what I mean? And that's
Sure.
great. Going right through to the end that's when we win. But at that early stage, I don't think many people are winning, and I think that's where AI could probably come in and solve a lot of these things for us as recruiters, as individuals, to be honest. For your job, obviously, I'm in sales, right? I do sales. That's what I do. I'm not in recruitment. Is AI helping you or harming your ability to do the job at the moment?
I'll just give you an example of what exactly you mentioned, Antonio. You mentioned ghosting candidates, not replying to candidates. So that's a big problem, or it has been at least until now. So I have been guilty of that in the past because I just didn't have the tools and didn't have the capacity, neither mentally or just as a couldn't cope with. You juggling 20 roles, 25 roles sometimes a bit less, but you just can't. So now with the help of, I don't know whether to call it AI or just simple automation and stuff like that, you can very simply just make sure that at least the person knows that, look, we viewed your CV. You weren't chosen to go through the steps. Thank you.
Yeah, you raise a good point there, because a lot of people talk about AI and it's not AI, it's just automation. Or a lot of people talk about automation, it's not automation, it's AI. Automation would be right. If this then that, okay, so you would basically drag someone or set a status of someone to be rejected, okay.
Yes.
Now what would happen there? Automation, if you set it up, would basically send a generic automated email saying, thank you so much for applying. We get volume of applicants. We've all seen those emails, right? They're
Sure.
fucking bullshit. Now that is automation. Automation is still a faceless, really shit experience because yeah, you've been rejected. You've told me you've been rejected, but that's fine. But you can tell that this message has been rejected. It's not been a thought out rejection. Where AI comes in is that automation still stands, right? But the AI early stage, so if you apply for a job, the AI will review a profile, okay, and actually review it from a job fit point of view. We'll review it based on all the applicants, not just that applicant by itself. We'll look at all the applicants. We'll select the top 5 from that recent application cohort, and then we'll benchmark everything against that, against the recent hires, for instance. And if you don't match that benchmark, then the AI would respond through the automation, but actually giving a personalized rejection.
Based on your
We're looking
profile.
for, yeah, based on your profile, exactly. Now that's where AI comes in. That's when the experience becomes a beautiful experience. So the great thing is, a lot of companies have automation set up, but they're not implementing that AI layer. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. I absolutely agree with you, which is the problem because a lot of the tools we have is everything's just gets slapped an AI tag on it, like as in AI
Yeah.
this. And I go through it, I look at it, so this is automation, this isn't AI. Or write a sequence with GPT and like you're like, okay, fine, this is very low level, like as in for what it is to out for your outreach and stuff to candidates. But I'm actually fascinated to see like what you have to say about that, Antonio, like as in you mentioned just one part of it right there about it reviews the profile, it gives a personalized, you missed out because of these reasons, not because
Mm.
you missed out, there were too many applicants, see you later, which is horrible. It's rude. Let's just put it that way. Okay, that this person has taken the time out of their day to go review your job description. They send
Mm.
the application a week later or something later, completely in the dark. They get an email. Sorry, didn't work out. Why didn't work out? Give me some feedback so I can adjust my applications for future jobs at least, because without the candidates, the industry would be nowhere. Any industry.
Yeah, well, that's the old adage, isn't it? What came first, the chicken or the egg? You know. But we could say about the candidates, but then the clients are paying the money, so they're paying the salary, aren't they? So the supply is the candidate, the demand is the employer, isn't it? So yeah, without the candidates, our industry would not exist 100%. Always dumbfounds me actually when you look at recruiters who just don't stay in touch with candidates. That's your fastest route to business development. Like that for me was the business development, was to basically speak to candidates all the time, find out market intel. Yeah, she was my first boss in recruitment, actually. Great guy called Rodney Fraser. When I was at Argyle Scott, he was their managing director there. And he said to me, not even too long ago, he said to me, one of the most valuable source of information is candidates, because they'll tell you everything if you are on side with them. So, it just always amazed me when my sales director positions when I would be, or when running my own companies and stuff and running my own recruitment teams, when people wouldn't apply the time to just keep in contact with candidates, to use the candidates as their source of information. And there's this sort of playbook that I wrote, which actually I'll take you through, offline, Cav. But fundamentally, it looks like this, right? So you've got candidate A, B, C, okay? Candidate A, candidate B, candidate C, right? Let's just visualize it like that. Now, candidate A, you're really close with. So candidate A will give you two references, okay? Because you're putting them forward to a job, okay? You are putting them forward to a job. They're a quality candidate. You ask them for two references. These two references are individuals who would hire that person
Yes.
and also would hire the other candidates that you're interviewing for the role that you're putting candidate A through, right?
Sure.
So then you do the same for candidate B, two references. Same for candidate C. Now, candidate C's references, you would send candidate A and B to, right?
Sure.
As a perspective. And when you speak to them, you say, "Oh, I'm speaking to these other two candidates. They're fantastic." And then you use that as a feeding frenzy for your own universe, right? Now, that is the
Definitely.
fastest way to business develop in recruitment, in my opinion.
Sure.
The other side is that, of course, you need to be good with the clients. You need to be good with the clients. If you can't have good conversations, then you might as well forget the reference pickup, right?
Sure.
But it's a very interesting place. So it always amazed me that there's recruiters that never look after their candidates. But that will change, and I think AI will have to force that real. It'd be almost like you mentioned football earlier on. Footballers. It'll be almost like you'd have dedicated recruiters for dedicated candidates. They won't go anywhere else. It's like, I'm representing these guys. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Well, I thought I was having a conversation with another CEO the other day. He owns a recruitment business company. And we were just talking about like solutions and stuff. I said, if I started today with nothing apart from LinkedIn, let's just say nothing else, I would pick my target and I would pick up probably 300 candidates that I want to speak with. And I'll just keep on talking to them and keep on getting information from them for the next couple of months. And that would be my business. And they'll give you the information, they'll give you the leads, they'll give you basically insight, introductions, and all of those things. You continue talking to them forever. And they move, your business moves with them. They grow, your business grows with them. So I
Yeah,
completely
because the
agree with you.
crazy thing, even the candidates who are on the market looking for jobs at that time, they're going to be in jobs in 2 months, you know?
Exactly.
And then if they're senior candidates, what are they going to be doing? Hiring, right?
Hiring.
But they won't use you if you gave them a poor experience or didn't get back to them because you didn't want to tell them they rejected. So it's an interesting, I think, so that's where AI can really come into place. What about AI written CVs? Are they making your job more difficult? Are they making candidates look the same?
I haven't had a good experience with that. A good experience. I haven't had a bad experience with it, but it depends. Genuinely, let me just I want to understand your question. Well, do you mean AI CVs that's been written by an AI that the candidate has given it, prompted it to write the CV? Or no, just generated automatically from a LinkedIn or like as in just,
No, I mean AI CVs that have been written by generative AI for candidates. So they've said, "Hey, I worked as a senior SDR for X company. Before that, I did this. Before that, I did X." And then
okay.
the AI will write a resume for them.
I don't have a strong opinion on that, but I don't agree with it just on a principle point of view that I want to have a draft of how you say it in your language, what you've done. Okay. Even though the AI might help you put it in a better way to present yourself. But for me, I want to see exactly how you speak as a recruiter, not because obviously I may not be hiring these people and then advise them later on, say, look, maybe we could clear up here and there on the profile or even just use some AI tools to help them. But the first draft, I want to be coming through very genuine, hand typed by themselves. That's me. What's your preference, Antonio? What do you think?
I think I have no problem with people using generative AI. I think it's it gives people a superpower, but I think that you can't rely on it to be your brain. You have to critically think when you're using AI, and you have to master the art of prompting as well. So that's a skill in its own right, and that's a skill that's only recently come out over the past 2 years with generative AI. But you have to be clear in your instructions. The challenge with a lot of people, and the reason AI gets a bad rep for utilizing it, is because people don't edit it. You know what I mean? They just literally just run it, copy and paste, and you can tell that it's not their thoughts, it's not their mind. It's someone's just put, "Hey, can you write me an article on fintech?" And then write me a LinkedIn post talking about fintech, and it's like the same generic shite that would be this, someone who's writing an article on HVAC. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then that's where it becomes infuriating, and that's when it becomes disingenuous as well,
sure.
because you're just trying to pull the wool over people's eyes that you know about fintech when it's AI that knows about fintech and you just fucking copy and paste it. So why not learn about fintech and then learn what you feel about it, and then basically engineer a prompt that can create how you feel, but written in a nice way and written about the fintech. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Anyone can write an article using Gen AI, but
Yeah.
not anyone can prompt it well enough, like a good copywriter that could understand what is it that they want to convey and convey that well. And yeah, you're right. Prompting is going to be one of those skills that is going to be in high demand. It probably is already anyway.
Big time, big time. I think prompting is crucial, because in my opinion, AI won't replace people. It will replace people who don't use AI. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So we need to. This is why it's so important that people become and use AI, but use it in the right way. I could. How many people have like, can create a podcast? Anyone can create a podcast. This podcast is a podcast, but at the same time, is it going to get many views? I don't know. I don't know. It's just about the quality of the message, isn't it? And the quality of what we do with this podcast. Anyone can use generative AI, but it's about what you do with the AI that creates the output.
Agreed.
I suppose we're still early days. It's like fucking the invention of the pen,
Sure.
in my opinion, that's what it is. So, looking forward into how to win jobs in 2025, what are the top three mistakes do you think candidates are making today when it comes to their job search?
So they usually rely on one source of information, like as in majority of people that I understand are applying for jobs, they use LinkedIn jobs. Okay, then Indeed, and then so on. And the experience is just appalling, especially on, not everyone, but especially on LinkedIn jobs where things get automatically renewed, jobs don't get looked after, basically just throwing CVs into a black hole. I was reading an article about this person talking about their experience of applying for over 250 roles and getting back one response and just completely stop using LinkedIn jobs in their field. I can't remember the name to quote them, but to me, look, I think job search should be more about, I think if you want a job, it should be more about you just sending a CV over. I want to follow up. I want to call that person. I want to send them a message. I want to be relentless in my pursuit if I really want that specific role. Maybe it's too much to ask. Maybe a lot of people don't have the confidence or don't think they should be doing those things, but I would say if you think there is a job that, for whatever reason, either the company's vision, the product, services, the pay, the benefits, location, flexible, whatever those benefits are, to me, be relentless,
Mm,
but also be picky with what you apply for. Because applying for too many jobs outside of what is not going to do you any good, not just on the side of you making your profile very cheap and out there available to anyone. Let's put that aside. It's not good for your mental health. It's
yeah,
not good
totally.
for your self-worth. It's not good for you to evaluate. If you evaluated yourself correctly, then you're not going to apply for too many jobs because you know your worth, you know what you like, and you will only apply for a few that, if you're lucky, there's a few out there that you feel like you could add value to and learn and grow with them. That's
Mm.
what I would say. What do you think, Antonio?
The mistakes I suppose candidates are making, I think I'm not close to the ground, to be honest. I can't answer that because I'm not doing much recruitment, am I?
Sure, sure. No,
So I can't really answer that question, to be honest. I wish I could. But what I would say from a marketing aspect, if I'm looking for a job, let's say, I want to work for someone, I want to work in a specific industry. I'd be doing what these individuals are doing that you see that goes viral on LinkedIn. Those people standing outside fucking Canary Wharf, with their I'm looking for a job, take a CV. Like that's really cool. But I think when does that become a bit cringy? It's cool if you're 18, 19, 20, 21, you've just left university. But let's say I'm 45 years old. I'm not 45 years old, but I'm 45 years old. I'm standing there. I'm looking for a job. Take a CV. Will people like that? Will it go? Will it go? Will it go viral? And will see people see that as desperation rather than innovation? That's the question.
sure.
So that's an interesting point. I'm basically just having a conversation with myself right now. Do you know what I mean? Because I think there's an element to that. Videos, I do a video, but yeah, you got to do whatever it takes it depends on how much you want
Sure.
the job, right?
Of
But
course.
I think your tenacity aspect, but then also I'd try and use my skills in a way that I could just make money for myself. I wouldn't just sit back like, oh, woe is me, I need to find a job, blah, 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 blah. I'd actually try and use my skills to make money for myself as well.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Okay, so that's great. So the free mistakes, we think that we're not really on free mistakes, but we think that they need to be a bit more tenacious in this market. Do you
Tenacious,
think that we're
applying.
going to see a lot more unemployment in the next year, 2 years?
No,
No, why not?
no. That's my opinion. I could be completely wrong, and I haven't got a data or what do you say, magic wand or like a crystal ball to know what's going to happen in the future. But from what I'm seeing, the numbers of jobs applicants and jobs advertised on Indeed and LinkedIn and all of that is going up. So we've just come off over a year and a half, almost 2 years of people just kept just that number keep going down and down and down since COVID last lockdown. Now we're seeing a surge again, and I think this is just the beginning because Antonio, as you mentioned, I think AI needs a lot of people, especially in our field, to build the future of AI, agents, prompters, software engineers, cloud infrastructure, GPU, and all of those things. That's just our state. But also I think it helps other sectors grow and multiple X their outcome just because it has that ability. So I think AI would be a multiplier for almost every field, and people would want to hire people that, like you mentioned, they can use AI in that field. They're good and they can basically, that's why I think the
Yeah, I think
number,
it's great point of view, to be honest. So if someone's serious about getting hired in 2025, right, what should they do this week? What would you say to them to do this week?
put some really good time into doing your profile. Make sure if you make an application, I mean, like you mentioned, you said video, cover letters and stuff like that. Fantastic. Do something to stand out, but like you mentioned, just coming short of I need a job with a banner in your hand. Do something to stand out, prove your value. Okay.
I would be doing, if it was me, I would be doing, let's say I'm right, okay, I'm a financial analyst for an investment banking company and I want to move on this year. Not quite now, but I'm definitely keen on moving on this year. I want to get a new position. That's my goal by the end of the year with better pay. I would be doing this week, I'd be starting to do videos and I'll do one video a week, literally just me, my phone, just me, just a selfie video, and I would be just talking about what's happening in the industry from an investment banking point of view. I'd be talking about what financial analysts look for. Do you know what I mean? And I'd
Sound like an
first,
expert.
yeah, and then I'd say I would. You could also, of course, say that you're not offering guidance or financial advice or whatever. But I would use that, and I'd just put that on LinkedIn. I'd put that out on TikTok. I'd put that out on Instagram, and I'd just do one a week. Be consistent.
Get eyes on yourself, definitely.
The
Get
thing
on,
is, the thing
get
is,
eyes on yourself.
yeah, the thing is, maybe it's week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14. You don't get any views, no
By the
likes.
end of the year,
Yeah, absolutely. And the algorithms, they appreciate consistency in video. So
Sure.
when you post video consistently, you're more likely to be seen. But if you do
Definitely.
one and then you wait 7 weeks and you do another, then you forget it. So that's what I would do. I'd be using these social platforms, and then eventually you would probably get a job offer anyway. Do you know
I
what I
think
mean?
so too.
You probably get
Definitely.
someone to come and headhunt you.
That would it would be insane not to headhunt
Mm,
someone like that
yeah,
because it shows intent. Do you know what I mean? Beyond the skills, it shows intent and bravery, and brave
yeah, you're
people
right.
get things done often, like in companies, because they push the boundaries a bit. They're the ones who do one step further. I might actually do start doing that myself a bit more.
I think you should, Kev. Do you know what I
Have
mean?
scattergunned here
I
and
mean,
there,
I mean,
but like you mentioned, the consistency.
we can do one of these quite regularly, and just you can just have all the content and post out. Do you know what I mean? It's
Fantastic.
just about staying on the minds of people, because not all the time am I looking to hire, but when I am, I'm going to be going to Cav because he's always been at the top of my feed. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. I'm with you.
That's what I would do. So I think it's like about forgetting being generic, forgetting the safety, like you just said there. Being brave. Also, if you're not showing proof of your work or building a personal brand reputation, you're pretty much invisible, aren't you?
Sure. Antonio, I just want to mention something here. I often know and think people know how good they are in their job. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are people who are a little bit maybe misunderstanding their level of skills and capabilities. But outside of that, I think majority of people I speak with, they know their level. To me, if you're looking for a new job and you know deep down that your level isn't great, do whatever you can to improve it.
Mm.
Improve that. So videos and everything great, but if you want to make sure that you're that person, go learn the craft. I mean, I've been calling you and messaging you and think like, I want to learn from Antonio. Okay, he has stuff to teach me because I know there are stuff that I can improve on. I know there are
When are you coming
tools.
round, by the way? When are you coming round?
Well, I'm this Good Friday and Monday. I'm actually I'm back in London. So I don't know. Like, let's set a time and
Yeah, we should. We'll do it offline anyway. We can do it offline. But yeah, no, you're right. Let's improve. You're so right. So we've got a few minutes left. So I just want to look at sort of what you think. How does recruitment change over the next three years?
I think AI would have a massive impact on jobs who has low barrier to entry to the market. But I think this is when it's going to take the recruitment to the next to the
I love that.
so basically it's going to take it from a job that almost anyone can start to do. That doesn't mean they can do it well, but AI I think could give us that ability to almost anyone can do it at a good level, and the great ones can do it at the absolute unimaginative levels that we haven't experienced to that. And to me, it's exciting for me. It's going to help with business development, help with candidate outreach, help with better experience for us, for the candidates, better mental health for everyone, because, there's a lot of mundane stuff that a lot of recruiters still do from day to day. But that's the exciting thing for me. And yeah, I can't wait to learn more about that.
Amazing. And final question: what are you guys doing over at Solere to stay ahead? To stay ahead of the market, to add value to your customers, to your candidates.
Sure. So we work with basically the top level cutting edge of absolutely AI technologies and emerging markets. And what we learned is everyone wants top talent and transparency. These two things are the things that every company wants: transparency and top talent. So what we are doing is we demonstrating to our clients that, okay, look, we show them value very upfront. So let's say Antonio is hiring for his AI company or his basically software SaaS product, whatever is hiring, and he basically be having a discovery conversation. And during the discovery conversation, we are very quickly able to identify and pull all this knowledge and experiences, all these relationships together, but amplified with even the level of AI that we're putting to use to show
Mm,
you straight away, say, Antonio, these are the type of people that you're looking for, even on the call, right there, live. And
nice.
to me, that is really eye-opening for clients because, Antonio, everyone sometimes need a guidance. It doesn't matter how good you are at something. It doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk, if it doesn't matter if you are the most successful business person. I think we all need guidance at some point to say that, look, you want to do it this way, but also there is a way here that could benefit your business. That's basically our way.
It's amazing, isn't it, how many companies are not that good at hiring, but also how many recruitment agencies are just not that good at advising their clients. So it sounds like you guys have got that on lock, and it's particularly if you're using technology to support you guys and support the client. That's fantastic. Listen,
Definitely.
Cav, it's a massive thank you for been a really great conversation, actually. Really
Thank you.
valuable. I've learned a lot from this. So thank you so much for coming on. Guys, if you're a tech professional within the AI space or any space for that matter, actually, from technology, and if you're a tech professional and you want some further advice and further guidance, feel free to reach out to Cav. I'm dropping his LinkedIn below. Also, if you are a client or an employer rather who is hiring and you're looking for technical talent who are going to build your future products or existing products, but just advance them into the world of AI, into the next generation of business, then Solere